people at the door are making me very, very nervous. I'm waiting to see the premier come in. Okay, they're saying 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe you can sit and we'll try this again. This is just the early morning exercise, so work with me here. Okay, I know he's definitely here. Let's give it 2 minutes. Can we maybe have a bit of music just while we wait for the premier? And then I will signal when we stand and welcome you in. Stay standing. We would like to open with the national anthem of South Africa. If you can please cue the national anthem. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the annual Black Business Summit. It is so lovely to see you all here. Thank you to the guys at the back for making sure my mic was off while singing the national anthem. I am just an accountant, not a vocalist. It's lovely to see you all here so early in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are commemorating, in continuation from our celebrations on Friday, 30 years of our democracy. And today, the BBC, so aptly, will be going into conversations and engagements that reflect on this 30 years of a democracy that has been so well fought for. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that there's a long way to go, and some of the conversations here will also help us give some sort of mandate in a very important year in our country. We are having an elective year, and I'm not wearing green for any particular reason, but ladies and gentlemen, as we engage and as we talk, let's think about where we're going on the 29th of May and what it is that we want from this country and what we want to turn around. And as an organization that drives transformation and economic participation, we hope that today will bear fruit to some of the solutions that we want to see. And we're actually very honored to have the father of this province here with us today. He likes surprises, and we welcome the surprise premier. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Linda Maqoma. I'm the Vice President of the Black Business Council for Professionals. I'd like to recognize the President of the BBC, my president, Elias Monage, also the vice president for business, who is my co-pilot. He's somewhere here. He's got big sets on. Gregory Mofokeng. I'd like to recognize the treasurer of the Black Business Council, Princess Tsakani Mkabule. And I'd also like to recognize my head of policy. He's also somewhere here. The engine of our organization, Dumisani Mbafa, is also here. Last but definitely not least, our hardworking CEO, who has worked with all of you today to make sure that we have this prestigious occasion where we engage on matters of national importance. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not here on our own accord. We've got special sponsors, and I'd like to recognize those partners right now. W&R CETA, which is the wholesale and retail CETA. Rand Water, celebrating 120 years of finding new ways. Our gold sponsor, Absa Bank and African Bank. And our silver sponsors, Anglo-American, the Development Bank of Southern Africa, DBSA, Vodacom Foundation, Take-A-Lot Group, and also last but definitely not least, our bronze sponsors, 27-4, National Empowerment Fund, CETA, and DUSO Consulting Group. Ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that we observe the protocol, I'd like to call the president of the Black Business Council to join me on stage, just to ensure that you feel welcome. He will be doing the welcoming address. President, over to you.
Thanks, Linda. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning, President.
Sanbonani. Dumelang. Program Director, Linda, the VP for Professionals, the Premier of Gauteng, Honorable Ndate Panyasa Lesufi, the Commissioner for Competition Commission, present today. The sponsors, I'm not going to mention the sponsors. My VP have done that. The media present here today. And I should not forget the previous members of the office bearers of this organization, so that whatever they've left behind is still in place. Let me also acknowledge trade attaches from different embassies that are present here today. Members of the office bearers present here today, members of the National Council of the Black Business Council, media and the speakers that we've invited this morning. Colleagues, we are meeting at a time when the country, in the last 2 days, celebrated the 30 years of, and that celebration marked a particular trend in terms of the analysis that where we come from and where we are heading, the things that we have achieved to date from a political point of view, but economically we need then to take a reflection and enhance the things that we didn't achieve for the past 30 years in that Sufi. In as much as we have attained the political freedom as an organization or as a country, on a number of things that we have achieved in terms of things that 30 years ago we didn't have them. We didn't have BRICS 30 years ago. We didn't have AGOA. We didn't have Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement. We're not even members of the WTO. We didn't even have bilateral agreements with various countries for the past 30 years. I'm saying before 1994. And I'm saying these are some of the issues that economically we need then to say, post-1994, what are the economic architecture or economic structures that we are participating as a country, as business formations. We're not even part of the G20 or the B20. And to date, we are members of BRICS. We are members of Africa Free Continental Agreement, despite the fact that the Agenda 2063, it was something that we were espoused to. And the Africa Free Continental Agreement then gave an expression to harmonization of tariffs and protocols so that our trade in the continent must then be harmonious. We need then to streamline our trade relations with our sister countries in the continent. And I'm saying that is the context in which we're meeting here today. We're meeting here today, colleagues, in the summit. As an organization, we're creating a platform to enhance an engagement and reflect on the achievements and the challenges, and then redefine a clear strategy and the road ahead for the next coming period. Reflection is one thing. Taking things that we've achieved and the things that we didn't achieve, it doesn't end there. We need then to define an agenda for the next coming generation, for the next coming 30 years, 60 years, so that we then have a clear program in place. Equally so, for the past 30 years, the legal framework and legislation and environment that businesses were operating is not the same as what we've achieved post-1994. And I'm saying these are some of the issues that part of the reflection we need then to say, we talk about the 30 years of democracy, the 25 years of the Employment Equity Act. It then created an environment for people to be recognized at the workplace. The 20 years of the broad-based black economic empowerment, it created a platform for a recognition of empowering and transforming and changing the patterns of ownership in the economic space. The preferential procurement that was agreed a few years ago, and currently Parliament to look at a finalization of that bill, so that when the president signs, it then becomes an act of a parliament. Again, it simplifies and codifies a preferential procurement of setting aside various areas that government, when they procure, they need them to look at black-owned companies, women-owned, people living with disabilities, so that part of changing the patterns of ownership is then acknowledged and recognized. And I'm saying these are some of the issues that the legal prescript and the legal framework have created for the past years. And therefore, this summit needs then to look at those issues. Equally so, even the judicial prescript have changed. I mean, if we then talk about the Competition Commission before and now, we are talking is chalk and cheese. And these are some of the issues that we need to look at, the monopoly and various components that the Competition Commission, that legislation have evolved over a period of time. And equally so, we need them to look at, as part of the reflection, the skills, the human resource development strategy for the country, because it then creates a platform for a recognition and skills enhancements in the country, so that there is that compatibility between basic education, higher education, and technical training, so that there is that mobility of people to move. And part of that assessment and reflection, we need also then to look at the funding models and funding institutions, whether it's SIDA, NEF, IDC, and DBSA, because if we continue with a fragmented funding instruments, we're not going to achieve the purpose of addressing these issues. And that's the reason why this summit is meant then to deal with a proper and alignment of funding institutions, and some of the areas, again, is around the execution of policies. We cannot talk about the national development plan so that the execution then is then lifetime. And I think, colleagues, it is within that context that this summit of democracy, we thought, as from an economic point of view, then to reflect on all the things that we've achieved,